Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw The Shootist. This is a 1967 or 1976 Western drama directed by Don Siegel, and it stars John Wayne, Lauren Bacall, Ron Howard, James Stewart, Richard Boone, Hugh O'Brien, Bill McKinney, John Carradine, Harry Morgan, Sherry North, Rick Lenz, Scatman Crothers. There's a lot of people in this film. In this film, afflicted with a terminal illness, John Bernard Brooks, the last of the legendary gunfighters, quietly returns to Carson City for medical attention from his old friend Dr. Hostetler. Aware that his days are numbered, the troubled man seeks solace and peace in a boarding house run by a widow and her son. However, it is not Brooks' fate to die in peace, as he becomes embroiled in one last valiant battle. So, what do I think of The Shootist? Well, if you know me personally, then you've probably heard me mention this movie multiple times. I love this film. I do have a few issues with it, yes, but this film, every time I see it, it breaks my fucking heart. I love this film. And I know I've talked about how I don't like movies that are just meant to be sad, which this one doesn't feel like that, and I'll explain why. But I do really, really enjoy this film. But let me get to the cast. John Wayne plays J.B. Brooks. He's again last of the legendary gunfighters. I think this is an all-time best performance for him. Even though, again, I get most of John Wayne's movies aren't meant to be dramas or like full-on dramas. He'll throw in some comedy, which that still happens here. He has some small comedic bits, kind of dry-ish humor, I guess. Um, sorry, that looks so. Ugh. Sorry, my computer looks like it's at an angle. But yeah, I think his performance here is pretty fucking wonderful. You can feel the pain in his performance. Uh, actually, let me move some stuff around because this is really uneven. There you go. Better. But yeah, um, Lauren Bacall plays Bond Rogers. She is the owner of this boarding house. She's housing people in it. I've always loved Lauren Bacall as an actress. I've loved her since Misery, Murder on the Orient Express, um, even Appointment with Death, which I don't remember being that great, but I still liked her in it. The Fan, a very underrated 80s I guess you'd call it a slasher film that somehow has Lauren Bacall, James Garner, uh Maureen Stapleton, these very like prim and proper actors in like a slasher film is so interesting to me. But it's more of a modern giallo. But I did really like The Fan. Um, James Stewart plays Dr. Hostetler. Love James Stewart. Most of the people who are in this are guest appearances, so they aren't there but for more than a couple scenes. James Stewart is the biggest actor in terms of that. He's in a few scenes. Richard Boone plays Mike Sweeney. He's an outlaw that wants to fight JB. Richard Boone, or excuse me, Hugh O'Brien plays Jack Pulford. He's a card dealer who also is good with shots and stuff. Bill McKinney plays Jay Cobb. He's a guy that barely gets any introduction. He's an outlaw that wants to fight JB. All three of them do fine. Harry Morgan plays Marshall Thibodeau. He's a marshal of the town that wants to see JB dead. And since when he hears that he's terminal, he's basically like jumping around for joy that this guy's almost dead, which I thought was a very interesting character thing, even though it makes you hate this character really quick, but it's not too far that it becomes ridiculous. John Carradine plays Beckham. He is the Undertaker. He's in one scene. He's pretty funny in that scene. Sherry North plays Sarepta, an old flame of JB's that comes over and is like, "Oh, they're gonna write a book about you." Um, I I thought she did fine. Rick Lenz plays Dobkins. He's an author that's trying to write a series of books about JB, uh, in kind of the style of in Capaloo, which I saw last, where she's reading books about this guy this gunfighter, and then she finds out he's like a massive drunk. This guy basically is like, "Oh, I'm gonna write your story the way you want it, and anything I don't get because you're dead, I'm just gonna make up." And it really pisses him off, which makes sense. He did a good job playing that character. Scatman Crothers plays Moses. He's a guy who wants the horses, JB's horses. Uh, Scatman Crothers is great in this. I really enjoyed his performance. He was really lively as usual. I've loved him ever since The Shining. I think he adds a lot to whatever he's in. But here's the thing with this film. This is a if you're expecting the normal John Wayne Western, like super fast paced, super kind of campy, I guess, that's not really what this is. So, a few years after this film came out, um, John Wayne had cancer. He had I forgot exactly what he had, but he had some type of cancer that he got on the set of The Conqueror, the movie where he plays Genghis Khan. I think it came out in 52. And pretty much every cast member, every crew member on that set, because where they filmed was radioactive, they all got cancer later in life. And around the time of this film, John Wayne was going through a very tough part of the cancer, and he decided that this was going to be the last film he ever did, but he also wanted to die quietly without his fans or without people like hounding him, trying to get like last talks with him before he died. And then he ended up dying later when it came back. Um, so again, rest in peace to John Wayne. I love the man. I personally enjoy this a lot better than quite a bit more than True Grit. Now, again, True Grit is a great film. I still, again, the 8 I gave it, nothing is changing with that. I still have my small gripes with it, but overall, I really enjoy the film still. This film touches me on eh, a a pretty interesting level because I think there's a big difference between most celebrities and John Wayne. John Wayne is an actor where people felt like he's a part of the family. And I feel that way too. I grew up watching John Wayne, Clint Eastwood movies with my grandpa, Lord, God rest his soul. And we really connected that way. That's why movies are such an important part of my life is family and watching movies with them and talking about them and stuff like that. But John Wayne specifically, just something about him is so like wholesome. It reminds me of older American values, like, and he's an inspiration for me wanting to become a filmmaker myself. So yeah, I do love the man, John Wayne. Um, and again, his performance here, you can tell the pain he's going through. It translates into this character. This character's basically a version of him, um, where it's him talking about, I can't do what I used to. And in this film, there are technically action scenes, I guess, but they don't try to do anything too spectacular. There's a bit where he like flips a guy out of a window, which didn't is again, it's not made like a big deal, but yeah, I think this film does a great job of showing that yes, he's still an ass kicker, but he's not like able to do what he used to, without making the character into a laughing stock like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny did for Indiana Jones, where they're like, oh, he's just an old man, he's doesn't matter anymore. And then basically they want you to focus on this new character. With this film, I'd say they did a really good job of showing a different side of Westerns, which most westerns you either get the normal like old days westerns from the 40s, 50, 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s. And then you have this new strain of westerns that are revisionist where they're talking about this is right when they were about to get electricity and they're getting dry cleaning for the first time. And I think this film does a great job of being like putting itself apart from different John Wayne westerns because it is a different era they're attacking. This takes place in 1901, the turn of the century. All these new things are coming. There's horseless carriages, or cars in the city. They have their own tram system. They have, and this film was either nominated for or won Best Production Design in 77 at the Oscars, which if it did, 100% I agree. Great fucking production design. Again, it puts itself apart from other westerns by being just that slight bit modern, and through that, you can tell what the story is supposed to be. The story is you're going from back in the day uh where things were more, you know, you had to do everything yourself, and then they're slowly getting into running water and electricity, and she's even got a phone on the wall, like I mean, like an old-timey phone where you do that, and then you start getting that slow bit of technology and all of these new things. Through the story, it tells you that, yeah, the gunfighters are on the way out. The Old West is turning into modern day, basically. And yeah, I like that. I like that storytelling. Um, Ron Howard is in this. Again, Ron Howard, I think, gives a pretty great performance in this. Uh, Everybody's giving great performances. I can't think of a single, like, bad performance in this film. Um, Again, it's not if you're looking for like an actiony western, I'd suggest going back to older John Wayne westerns, even Stagecoach from 33, which was or 39, which was nominated for Best Picture back in the day. Uh One of John Wayne's earliest feature-length starring vehicles. Ran alongside sound or ran alongside Wizard of Oz and uh, Gone with the Wind, three legendary films coming out the same year. Um, but yeah, uh, outside of that, you also have, well, what again, the way this film tells its story. You have certain characters who are like trying to benefit from JB's death, like his old flame Sarepta coming over and being like, "This guy said that we can split the profits of the books once you're dead," and she wants to marry him but not because she loves him. She wants to marry him because she wants his name. So again, like people are benefiting from this guy's death and really rubbing it in his face, even though he's like, yeah, he's not even a bad guy. He's just a gunfighter. Like he shot people who were going to kill him. It's more of an anti-hero thing they're going for, and I'm fine with that. Uh, I'd say John Wayne has always been pretty good at playing a decent variety of characters, even if people usually just say, "Oh, he's playing a cowboy." There's lots of different types of cowboys. Um, I, and the biggest thing I could give to this film is that it makes that ending gut punch work by not just being constantly depressing, depressing, depressing. It has its moments of let up. It has its moments of comedic relief. It has its small bursts of action. And I think if this entire movie was basically like The Whale, where it's just constant depression, depression, depression. Oh, have you seen this new scene? It's where he's trying to eat himself to death. With movies like that, I tend to just be like, I can't take this serious. because I have no reason to care for the character because of information you've given me, or the film hasn't spent enough time with the characters or done anything with the characters that I should give a shit about that I just don't care. But for this character, because it is also partially kind of what's happening to John Wayne in the real world outside of the movie, it adds another layer to the film that again, I think this film deserves a bit of a reevaluation by movie critics because back in the day, yeah, people enjoyed this. It has a it has the same rating on Letterboxd as True Grit, which is the movie John Wayne won Best Actor for, but it never really gets the attention that his other westerns do, like The Cowboys or The Searchers or uh again True Grit. Like it doesn't get that recognition. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, there are a couple things I'm not huge about with this film. Like the main things keeping me from turning into like a 10 for me, Elmer Bernstein's score in this. He also did the score for True Grit, and I really liked his score in that. The score here is all right. The dun 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 dun. Like I like the score to this film, but sometimes it just doesn't fit. And I'd say the biggest scene where it doesn't fit is the final gun battle between uh between shit, I forgot his name. JB Books. But the final gun battle between JB Books and the Three Outlaws I think would have hit a bit better if the music sounded like action music. It kind of sounds like Looney Tunes to an extent, and it kind of pulled me out of it this time around. And I wish that the gunfighters had some more character development. The only character that really gets any development in terms of the gunfighters is Hugh O'Brien, where you see this early shot where he like or this bit in the early like in the first third of the movie around where he shoots a guy that's running out of the door or something, and then they're like doing a whole thing of like, oh, you shot him 80 feet away. Like that was interesting, but I wish there was a bit more to it. um but other than that, I think this film goes along at a pretty good pace. It's 98 minutes. That's the perfect length for this. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. Again, fucking oh yeah, I forgot to turn this mic. John Wayne, Lauren Bacall, Ron Howard, pretty much everybody in the cast gives A-level material. The set design, uh, the film's shot pretty well as well. I almost forgot to mention Don Siegel, the director of this, also directed Dirty Harry, Escape from Alcatraz, The Killers, Charlie Varick, Two Mules for Sister Sarah, The Beguiled, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This guy has done classic after fucking classic. And you can tell here. I think he does a great fucking job. But yeah. Uh, I still really enjoy the film. I hope others will watch it as well. Um, that was my review of The Shootist. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door, out.